13th Annual Hall of Fame induction reception here at the Soccer Centre. We'd especially like to acknowledge some special guests who are with us today. The new President of the Canadian Soccer Association, Mr. Victor Montaliani, and members of the Canadian Soccer Association Board of Directors, Charlie Cazzetto, Don Story, Gerald McDonald, Ken McLean, Jeanette Cook, Steve Reed, Darren Donaghy, and Nick Bontis. Welcome. Thank you for being here. We also have the members of the Ontario Soccer Association Board of Directors who are here with us today, with President Ron Smale. Thank you. And we have former Hall of Fame inductees, my co-chair, John McGrain, Colin Jost, Les Wilson, Bob Iarussi, Colin Miller, Dick Dasovich, Mike Sweeney, and Alec Bunbury is on his way, but he's not here yet. So thank you all for being here, and it's a pleasure to have you here, and welcome again to all of our inductees. I'd now like to introduce you to the Hall of Fame Board of Directors. Colin Jost, a historian. My co-chair again, John McGrain. Lynn McGarrigle, I don't know if Lynn's here today. From Nova Scotia, Ken McLean, who's also on the CSA Board of Directors. From La Belle Province, Dino Madonis. John Vanderkolk. Bob Iarussi. OSA President Ron Smale. OSA Executive Director Lisa Beattie. And Kim Watson. Welcome and thank you for being here. It's now my pleasure to introduce this year's Soccer Hall of Fame inductees to be inducted into the Soccer Hall of Fame at this evening's banquet. The Soccer Hall of Fame is one of the soccer's highest honours in Canada, and today's inductees join a very distinguished list of Hall of Famers. It's with great pleasure that I introduce you to our 6th Pioneer inducted into the Hall of Fame. The Pioneer Award is intended to recognise a contributor to the sport throughout history. This award will honour pioneers of the sport, recognising their efforts to see soccer elevated to new levels and standards, participation and public interest. This year's Pioneer inductee is John Richardson from British Columbia. John earned his law degree at the University of Edinburgh and came to Canada in 1919. He played for some years after coming to Canada, but turned to administration, and at the time of his death was Secretary of the BC Soccer Commission, a position he had held since its inception in 1933. He was also a council member of the Dominion Football Association from 1948 until his death. John was inducted into British Columbia Sports Hall of Fame in 1966. Despite many efforts, we have unfortunately been unable to track down any living relatives of Mr. Richardson, and at tonight's banquet, the award will be received by Mr. Charlie Cazzetto of the CSA Board of Directors. We now move on to our builder category. We have 2 builders, followed by 4 players being inducted in 2012. Our first builder is Gordon Arrowsmith. Gord was born in London, England, of Scottish parents. He started refereeing in Scotland in 1965 and brought 5 years of experience with him when he emigrated to Canada in 1970. He took up refereeing here in 1972 and soon achieved national recognition. He began refereeing in the North American Soccer League in 1980 and was appointed to the FIFA list in 1982. His international experience includes the President's Cup in South Korea and numerous other internationals. He was on the FIFA list for 10 years and officiated at the Canadian Soccer League final in 1988 and 1991. Gord, would you please come up here? Our next builder is a gentleman I've known for many years, Angus Barrett. During the 2009 Canadian Soccer Association Annual General Meeting in Calgary, Angus Barrett was named recipient of the prestigious Aubrey Sanford Meritorious Award for his outstanding commitment to soccer in Canada. Angus has been involved in soccer for more than 45 years, representing both the Newfoundland and Labrador and Canadian Soccer Associations, serving on a number of committees, and has been a Canadian Soccer Association executive member. An extremely active member in Newfoundland and Labrador soccer community for nearly 50 years, he was a fine player, a respected official, a dedicated coach. He was president of the Newfoundland and Labrador Soccer Association from 1996 to 1999. And at the Canadian Soccer Association level, he chaired the competitions committee of the Canadian Soccer Association for 6 years and represented the association on the Canadian Olympic Association for 5 years. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Angus Barrett. Now we'll move on to the players. Our first inductee is Mark Watson. Unfortunately, Mark couldn't be here this weekend, but Mark made 78 appearances for the national team between 1991 and 2004, making his full international debut against Honduras. His lengthy club career began at the Canadian Soccer League in 1990 with Ottawa Intrepid, then moved on to Hamilton Steelers, Montreal Supra, the Vancouver 86ers of the A-League. In Europe, Mark played for Watford of the Football League, Oxford United, Oldham Athletic, and Osters of the Swedish League. In North America, he played for Columbus Crew, New England Revolution, and DC United in the MLS, the Seattle Sounders of the A-League, and Charleston Battery of the United Soccer League. He also played with the Vancouver Whitecaps. On retiring as a player, he turned to coaching, and more recently was an assistant coach with the San Jose Earthquakes of the Major Soccer League. Mark Watson. Our next player inductee is Andrea Neal. Andrea made her national team debut in 1991 against Jamaica in Haiti during the CONCACAF Championships, and went on to play 132 times for Canada. She played in the 1995 Women's World Cup in Sweden, and the 1999 and 2003 Cups in the United States, and 2007 in China. She also played in the CONCACAF Gold Cup in 1991, 1994, 2000, 2002, and 2006. And the Pan American Games in Brazil in 2007. She spent 18 years in the women's national team program and 6 years with the Vancouver Whitecaps. She became the first female player to be inducted into Canada Sports Hall of Fame when she was honoured in Calgary in 2011. Andrea, would you please come forward? Our next inductee is Carlo Corazon. Carlo began his professional career with Winnipeg Fury of the Canadian Soccer League in 1992 before moving to England to join Cambridge United of the Football League at the start of the 1993-94 season. At Cambridge, he played in 105 games and scored 39 goals before being transferred to Plymouth Argyle in 1996. He moved on to Northampton Town in 1998 and helped them win promotion from the old third division to the second in the 1999-2000 season, scoring 15 goals. He ended his English career, which stretched from 1993 to 2003, with Oldham Athletic, appearing in 367 games and scoring 111 goals. He returned to Canada to play for the Vancouver Whitecaps of the USL. Carlo made his national team debut against Morocco in 1994 and was the top scorer in the 2000 CONCACAF Gold Cup with 4 goals including a penalty in the final against Colombia. Carlo Corazon played 59 times for Canada and scored 11 goals. Carlo, would you please come forward? And last in the players category, but by no means least, Charmaine Cooper. Charmaine was a world-class player and arguably the finest female player ever produced in Canada, and she has become a legend in her own time. She made her national team debut in 1986 against the US in Minneapolis, and from that day on she became both the face and the persona of the team. In her 129 games for Canada, she scored 71 goals. In 1999, she was selected to the FIFA Women's All-Star team that played against the world champion United States team and was voted the game's MVP. FIFA has always admired her ability both on and off the field, and in the past year, she was appointed to the FIFA Task Force 214. That includes many of the legends of the game. Please welcome Charmaine Cooper. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the 213th edition of the Hall of Fame inductees. Organization of distinction. This category in the Soccer Hall of Fame and Museum was introduced 2 years ago and recognizes organizations that have excelled over many years. The third organization to be recognized in this category is Victoria West. Victoria West is being represented by Dave Knowles, who is the president of the club. Founded in 1896 as part of the Victoria West Athletic Association, this club is one of the oldest clubs still playing in Canada. They won the Garrison Cup in 1909, 1910 and 1911, and the Vancouver Island Championship in 1912 and 1913. In addition, they have won the Jackson Cup as champions of the Victoria and District Soccer League 16 times. However, their greatest achievement was in winning the national championship 4 times. They were national champions in 1976, 1979, 1982, and 1984. Is Dave Knowles with us today? Dave, would you come forward, please? And now I'd like to introduce our 10th year for the Hall of Fame and Museum category, known as the Team of Distinction, recognising those teams that have made a significant contribution to Canadian soccer. Our Team of Distinction to be inducted into this year's Hall is the 1989 Canadian Men's Francophone Games team, represented here this afternoon by Team Staff Les Wilson. Francis Millien was supposed to be here, but he can't make it until this evening. The first 1989 Francophone Games World Football Championships were held in Rabat and Casablanca, Morocco, Africa. The Canadian men's national team became the first country to win this prestigious World FIFA Francophone Games Championship. On July 12, 1989, the Canadian men's national team made soccer history as it defeated the odds-on favourite Morocco by a score of 4-1 in the Francophone Games final in Casablanca. The Canadian men's national team walked into an international final championship facing off against the home country favourite, Morocco. Canada had 4 goals by half-time in front of a rabid partisan crowd of over 70,000. The goals were scored by Lyndon Hooper, Kevin Holness, and Rick Yaskin with 2. They gave Canada a 3-goal lead at half-time, the lone goal from Morocco being scored in the 40th minute. Members of the team that are with us here today are Les Wilson, Dr. Rudy Gittins, Enzo Conchina, Carlo Corazon, Norm Odinga, Lyndon Hooper, Rick Jaskin, Kevin Riley, George Marisic, and I believe there'll be a couple of more of the team will be there tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please round of applause for the Francophone Games team. There's another award that was introduced 2 years ago. This award was intended to recognise those who have excelled both in soccer and in another endeavour, but who might not otherwise have qualified for induction into the Soccer Hall of Fame and Museum. The late Brian Budd embodies this award through his accomplishments in soccer and beyond. Brian became the most internationally recognised Canadian soccer player through his participation in the various superstar competitions between 1978 and 1980. Brian's playing career includes winning a CIAU gold medal for the UBC Thunderbirds and playing 7 seasons in the NASL with the Vancouver Whitecaps, Colorado Caribou and Toronto Metros Croatia. He also played at the international level for Canada 7 times, scoring twice in World Cup qualification matches. Brian became well-known soccer broadcaster, starting as a colour commentator for the Toronto Blizzard in 1982, and most recently on the Scores Network Footy Show from 2004 to 2009. This year's recipient of the Brian Budd Award is Jerry Dobson. Jerry began his career at Global Television in the early 1980s as a beat reporter for the Toronto Blizzard of the old NASL, and then moved on to CFTO TV, where he covered a variety of sports from 1984 till 1997. The launch of Sportsnet in 1998 led Jerry to his latest career path. Jerry hosts the highly rated television show Soccer Central. He has also been the commentator for the Canadian national team games for the past 14 years, and a commentator for TFC. Jerry actively works with the Canadian Soccer Association, the Ontario Soccer Association, professional clubs, and grassroots organisations to help promote the game in Canada. Throughout his industrious media career, Jerry has covered 5 Olympic Games, the World Series, the Super Bowl, Rogers Tennis Cup, and the Grey Cup and CONCACAF, to name a few. Jerry Dobson is an excellent broadcaster and is an outstanding member of the soccer community. Unfortunately, Jerry is on assignment this time and he can't make it this morning, but he will be in attendance at the awards banquet this evening. Congratulations, Jerry. Well, this brings us to a close of the official part of the induction reception. We'd like to thank you all for coming out today. Those of you who are going to the induction banquet tonight at the Royal York, you will have an excellent evening. Enjoy yourselves. Thank you to all of our inductees and their families for being here. And please help yourself to some lunch, which is on the tables behind you. And we will now proceed into the Hall of Fame, led by the inductees and their families. Thank you.